Good evening and welcome to the final edition of Whether or Not for the spring 2019 semester. Tonight's show features nature in the news stories, including recent tornadoes in Pennsylvania and how it's been an active start to the severe weather season. We'll also have a story on some recent earthquakes in the state of California. And our resident biker, Jacob Morse, is here with a feature on how weather impacts biking expeditions. And we'll also take a look at your weekend and extended forecast coming up in just a little bit. Whether or Not starts right now. Hello and welcome to Whether or Not. I'm your host, Matt Hoenig.
And I'm your forecaster, Patrick Wright.
Patrick, great to be here with you this evening on what is our final show here on Whether or Not. It's been a great ride so far, but we do have some weather to talk about this evening. It's been fairly decent the past couple of days. Some showers have started to move in to our region by midweek. Now we're looking at the potential for some heavy rain in the at least first half of this weekend.
Yeah, some heavy rain we can expect to move in, but how long will it last? I'll get those details coming up in a moment, because we could see some long-lasting effects by the beginning of next week in terms of another system that moves in after this one. So I'll get those details in a moment.
All right, sounds good, Patrick. Thank you very much. But first, here's Nature in the News. This week is Severe Weather Awareness Week in Pennsylvania. The National Weather Service hosts this week of education and planning annually in an attempt to prepare the public for episodes of tornadoes, severe thunderstorms, and flash floods. One common topic of this week is discussing the difference between a watch and a warning. A watch is issued when the potential exists for severe weather, while a warning means severe weather is imminent and could be life-threatening. Other important topics include how to stay safe when severe weather strikes. During severe thunderstorms, it is best to stay away from windows and remain in a sheltered area on the lowest level of a sturdy building. When flash floods strike, don't drive into flooded roadways and seek higher ground if possible. Finally, it's important to have a reliable way to receive severe weather alerts, including a way that could wake you up at night and alert you when to seek shelter if storms were to develop overnight.
After nearly 10 years of research, it was found Southern California has an earthquake on average every 3 minutes. This equates to 495 earthquakes every day, although most are minuscule on the seismic scale, ranging from -2.7 to 1.7. Well, the reason it took so long to discover the high number of earthquakes was because of the extreme sensitivity of the sensors placed in Southern California. It took researchers a long while to sift through all the background noise on the instruments, which came from construction, traffic, and even large amounts of people. The goal with this research is to find more patterns in the onset of earthquakes, hopefully leading to an earthquake warning system based on small movements of the Earth's crust prior to major earthquakes, or an actual predictive model for major earthquakes.
Last Friday's severe weather brought more tornadoes to Pennsylvania in what is already an active month of April. This week, the National Weather Service confirmed 5 tornadoes, with most of these tornadoes occurring in south-central Pennsylvania. 3 of the tornadoes were rated an EF1 on the Enhanced Fujita scale, and the other 2 tornadoes were rated an EF2. This brings the total number of tornadoes in the state of Pennsylvania to 14 just this month alone. Tornadoes are fairly uncommon in Pennsylvania this early in the season, as the state only averages 2 per year in the month of April. Thankfully, no injuries were reported when these storms moved through.
Over the course of the last few months, the notion of a hard deadline for combating the impacts of climate change has gained ground politically and socially through politicians and the media. The latest climate change deadline says mankind has 12 years before irreversible impacts cripple society and humanity. This statement is a wild mischaracterization of the 2018 United Nations Climate Report. The concept of climate change is a wildly complex interaction of the Earth's oceans, land, radiation, and mankind, which means the idea of a climate cliff is not correct. The report itself is not wrong. Action must be taken to combat the impacts of a human-induced changing climate. However, it is not a do-or-die situation at a specific deadline. The impacts of climate change are better described by a sloped ledge, which we are already moving down. Climate change is already taking its toll on society and the environment. What matters now are what decisions we make and how fast we make them, which will ultimately determine the severity of the impacts we see as a result of a human-induced changing climate. Well, I'm student meteorologist Patrick Wright here with your Central Pennsylvania forecast here in the short term. So we're going to get right into it because, well, we do see some changes on the way for tomorrow at least, but then with some rain moving in, then we do dry out for the part of the weekend, and then we have another system move in. So it's the windshield wipers of rain and sun. So let's get right into it. Friday, here is what we get. I sometimes wish it were Saturday, but overall, here's what we get on Friday. We do see State College and most of the Northeast covered in rain as the system moves on through. So heavy at times, so that's something we'll have to pay attention to. But overall, do expect a washout for Saturday. Some students heading to move on. That's something we may have to watch because it may get canceled again, but may be washed out. So we'll keep an eye on that. But in terms of a forecast for Saturday, well, this looks pretty nice. Overall, most of the Northeast is pretty clear, except for that little bit further towards the Northeast. And then we have another system moving in for Sunday, but that won't get here till, well, Sunday. But we do have a mostly sunny sky on Saturday. So if you have anything to do outside, well, this is going to be the day to do it, such as grad photos or even getting into the garden and just prepping it for the rest of summer. Now, in terms of our forecast for Sunday, well, another system does move on through, bringing some lighter rain than we saw on Friday, but overall we do expect that to move on through pretty quickly and maybe see some lingering showers overnight Sunday. But here are the numbers for Friday. 60 degrees for the high, rain throughout most of the day, so it is going to be a washout for the region. But in terms of our forecast for that night, we do see the lingering showers hanging on, but those will move out of here pretty quickly. We do expect a low of 40 degrees and the clouds will begin to decrease overnight. Now, in terms of our forecast for Saturday, 65 degrees for the high. So again, this is going to be a good day to get out there, get those grad photos, or even just study outside for those getting ready for finals with a mainly partly sunny sky, maybe mostly sunny, partly sunny, depending on how you phrase it. But overall, Sunday, we do see some changes though because we have some showers in the area, 59 degrees for the high, so temperatures will be dropping as we close out the weekend. Coming up next, Jacob has a feature on how weather impacts cycling.
I love to bike around Penn State's campus on a daily basis, getting from one class to the next. And for many people around the world, biking is a useful and clean form of transportation that they use to commute to and from work every day. But as a meteorology major, I was wondering how much of a role the weather played on cycling and on bikes themselves.
It doesn't take long for a bike left out in the elements to start to degrade due to the weather. And as soon as a week, rust can begin to develop, especially on the chain and sprockets. This gets accelerated when the bike is left out in the rain multiple times. Additionally, when bikes are left out in excessive heat, plastic and rubber parts will begin to break down. Therefore, it's recommended that bikes remain stored indoors or under an overhang during the winter months and when it's wet outside in order to keep them running at peak performance. However, it's not just the bikes themselves that don't perform at their best in poor weather conditions. Colder weather can actually cause people to bike slower due to the effects of air density and tire rolling resistance. Outdoor air temperature is inversely proportional to air density, so that means that when the air temperature is lower, the air density is higher. Higher air density results in higher aerodynamic drag on a cyclist, so the cyclist will go slower for a certain amount of effort. Additionally, when a bicycle tire contacts the ground, it deforms and then springs back into its original shape. Every time this happens, energy is lost in the form of heat. A colder tire has less elasticity than a warmer tire does, so the colder tire will lose more energy during its contact with the pavement than a warmer tire does on a hot day. This means that colder tires have a higher rolling resistance, which also contributes to causing riders to bike slower in cold conditions. Despite riders sometimes having to deal with unfavorable weather conditions throughout the year, many U.S. cities are seeing an increase in bicycle commuters, according to the United States Census Bureau. Nationwide, the number of people who travel to work by bike increased by roughly 60% over the last decade. This is the largest percentage increase of all commuting modes tracked during this period. This increase is not only good for the environment because harmful greenhouse gases are not being released by your car if you had driven to work, but it's also healthy for you. The results from a very well-controlled study showed that many commuters who cycled to work had a 41% lower risk of dying from all causes than people who drove or took public transport. Additionally, these biking commuters had a 46% lower risk of developing cardiovascular disease. But living a healthy lifestyle is only one of the many reasons why more people are biking to work on a daily basis. Cities are also making streets more biker-friendly with an increased number of bike lanes, and more bike paths are showing up across the country. Additionally, when gas prices skyrocket, more people consider trying out alternate forms of transportation, such as biking. Finally, bike share programs have been growing very rapidly across the world, making it easier than ever for people to bike around big cities without purchasing a bike themselves. Penn State recently launched the Zagster bike share program on campus, allowing students to rent bikes, and you may have seen other bike share programs in large cities around the world. A study was done a few years ago on Washington, D.C.'s Capital Bike Share program, which is one of the largest programs in the United States, to see how the weather impacted the number of bikes that were rented. The study found that precipitation has a major impact on the number of bikes that were rented, with around half of the number of bike rentals when it was raining versus when it was dry. More bike rentals were also seen when the relative humidity was lower, which is no surprise as muggy conditions can be unpleasant to ride in. Finally, the study showed that colder weather resulted in fewer bikes rented, which isn't too surprising. However, the number of bikes rented continued to increase when temperatures were over 90 degrees, which the researchers noted as an interesting result.
On a nice day like today, I'm gonna head out for a ride. But whether or not, I'm Jacob Morse. Let's go!
Well, we're going to jump into the extended forecast, and that's looking a little interesting by the beginning of next week. We do see the chance for a few showers hanging around, but the confidence is low. But then we do see the possibility for a higher chance of showers by the end of the week, maybe some heavier rain as we close out next week. So let's get right into it. The weekend recap, though, here's what we can expect for tomorrow. 60 degrees, wet and gloomy, so you're going to have to pull out the umbrella, and you're not going to be able to do anything outside. Unless you like the rain, then by all means. But overall, the better day of these 3 days will be Saturday, 65 degrees for the high, mostly sunny as you step outside, so it's going to be a good day to get some grad photos done or anything like that outside here on campus. But then by Sunday, while the showers do return and we do see temperatures dropping back down into the upper 50s with that high of 59. But then looking at next week, here's what we got. Monday and Tuesday, we do see a chance for some showers, but I'm not too confident in how that pattern is setting up, so I'm going with a mainly mostly cloudy sky for the time being. But then we do see a higher chance for some rain and showers by the middle to end of next week. However, temperature-wise, we do expect to see some cooler temperatures in the beginning of the week, mainly hovering in the upper 50s to lower 60s, so similar to what we saw on Sunday, but without the rain. But then we do see the chance for some warmer temperatures by the end of next week, so mainly probably getting up to closer to 70, maybe the mid-70s. Some models are hinting, so we'll have to keep an eye on that, but I'm excited for that.
Yeah, I definitely am too, Patrick. A huge fan of the warmer weather. Unfortunately, that wasn't the most picture-perfect extended forecast, but nevertheless, I think we'll take some more milder weather at least, especially heading into the first couple days of May.
I'm excited for it.
And speaking of the rain, hopefully we won't see a ton of rain out of that, but our Weather Whiz Quiz question this evening had to do with rain, and that question was, what is the average yearly rainfall for the State College area? Was it A, 32 inches, B, 37 inches, C, 43 inches, or D, 46 inches? You might want to say D because it's been so rainy the past year and a half, but the correct answer is B, 37 inches. That's what we normally expect here in State College. But Patrick, it's been a very, very wet start to 2019. At least up to this point, we've seen a lot more rain than we normally would see for this time of year. Looks like those rain chances probably not helping our case too much.
No, and even coming off of last year, we got after the record rainfall from last year. It's a lot, but hey, it's rain.
We'll get through it. Some warm weather is on the way. I think we'll all be okay.
We'll manage.
Well, that is this week's episode of Whether or Not. Thanks so much for watching, everyone. I'm your host, Matt Hoenig.
And I'm your forecaster, Patrick Wright.
Have a great night, everyone, and enjoy your weekend.